Okay, yes, thank you so much again, and thank you for joining us and joining this meeting and talking about OMVI Talk Show. Um,
I'm delighted to be here.
and it's just a big honor for you to be here. So I just really wanted to know about, your travels and how you arrived here to this point, um, and how you about your Sarathee, about your company.
Sure. So, well, I belong to a very small town. I belong to Dehradun. I did my early education here and then I moved to Delhi. And I think I always say, and I know you are from a Marwari family, so you will relate to what I'm saying. I come from a typical business family. I never thought that I would actually go on to do a corporate job, but I did. And after having spent about some 12 to 13 initial years in telecom, and I did everything from brand to product marketing to sales, then I thought that, it was fairly unfulfilling for me. So I absolutely changed my course and I went on to join a social sector company, social sector organization called Child Rights and You. If you've heard of that, it's an NGO and they work with children. My purpose of joining them was that I wanted to know the other side because I had already experienced what it was to lead a privileged life. 3 years I spent with CRY, and that is when I really understood what the real India is like, or what the real struggles of the marginalized communities look like. And further on, I was also exposed to National Association for the Blind. And I think that gave me quite an insight into what it takes for a person with disability or a person with visual impairment specifically to work or not to work, or the challenges they were facing in being able to lead a life which is so normal and natural to each one of us otherwise. And I think that is how I moved from a place which was comfortable in a corporate life. I switched over to social sector. And after having spent time there, I realized I am not fit for corporate. I'm neither fit for social sector. I needed to figure out a middle path. And that is when Saarathee happened, because I decided not to look at a fully capitalistic way of looking at things. And neither was I willing to look at things in a, how would I say, charity mode. I wanted a middle path. And that's when Saarathee came about with the absolute intention of setting up something where people could call themselves self reliant, empowered, and enabled.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm just so excited. And then how you set up Sarathee, that's, a big challenge, I'm sure, transferring from, your experience. And, did you have any challenges with setting up Sarathee? Do you mind sharing any of those challenges that you may have faced?
Yes. So before I share my challenges, I think I'll just give you a brief insight what Sarathee is all about. So Sarathee started about 4 years back. It is a customer engagement center, and we work with large clients from Amazon to Daikin India, ITC Foods, Kalyan Jewelers, a lot of startups, and we offer them all kinds of customer engagement solutions, which means that we have to speak with their customers on their behalf. We do written communication, we do telephonic conversations. Now, when we started out Saarathee, one of the biggest challenges that I faced, and I can be honest about it right now, is that the community, the people with disabilities whom I wanted to hire and engage in this organization, they did not have a very high level of trust in me. So in the first few, in fact, the first year, that was the largest and the biggest struggle I was facing. Nobody would trust me that I was doing it with the right intention. They were always doubting my intentions. So that was the first challenge that I was facing. And the second other challenge that I faced was a lot of corporates that I was reaching out to, they always thought that I was doing a charity case. They always thought that I was coming to them with a CSR agenda. They never could trust me that I was capable of delivering absolute business value to their work. So that was another challenge. So here were two very critical challenges I was facing. And I think the first year, I only struggled to deal with those only.
Wow, wow. I definitely understand those challenges. And, it's trying to, people, getting people, trusting people and working people, it's definitely a huge challenge. But, you have to really convince them to trust your work.
Oh, yes. So I still remember, and Vaibhav, I'll tell you this story. This was more like a turning point that happened with us. So we started in 2018, and in 2019, it so happened that there was this startup called Coding Ninjas, and they were fairly stable. They had an in-house team, and they suddenly decided they wanted to outsource their call counseling, which was basically sales-led counseling. And they reached out to us, and in fact, a friend connected me with them. And I still remember it was like a late evening 8 o'clock meeting, and I made sure that a couple of my people were still in office so that it could be a little showcase of the sorts that this is how we work. And this gentleman comes, and he has his doubts, yet perhaps because I was able to convince him, he said, okay, I'll give you a trial, but if you fail in that trial, I'm not going to proceed with you. And you'll be surprised, I was scared. I was genuinely scared because I wasn't sure whether my people could even deliver on it. And I deputed about 5-member team, and these were all people who were undergraduates. They were not even graduates, all 100% visually impaired. And this was a process where we were supposed to sell coding programs, okay, online coding programs to people at large. Now, I had a set of people who had zero exposure to what coding is all about. And I was preparing them to be able to sell that to customers who were looking out for it. And it was surprising. It actually worked. And I think it was purely because of the kind of dedication these people came with, commitment they came with. It just worked. And today, after 3 years, we are a team of 15 people, and we are one of the largest contributors to their sales.
Wow, congratulations. That's amazing how that works and how you built from the foundation. It's just wow, that's amazing. And I was wondering how you got your clientele support. Was like how did you approach how did you get them to support your ideas and like who was your first client that really became your biggest breakthrough, so to speak?
So first was Amazon. So Amazon reached out to us within the first year. It was more like because they also have an inclusion agenda, and they reached out to us because I'm fairly active on LinkedIn. So I used to write posts, lots of stories, and they reached out to us and they gave us the first business. And for us, that was extremely heartening, because suddenly we were in business. And then I think the journey just gave us confidence that we could deliver, we could start working. And then Coding Ninjas happened, which only expanded as we went forward. So then I think it was no looking back, because we started building case studies. We started building success stories out of what we were able to do. And I was very clear that I needed to talk about it very prominently across social media. So I started plugging in a lot of stories, what my people are doing, how they are doing, and what makes it so different and beautiful if they do it. And I got lots of clients to give us testimonials. However, I think the lockdown, COVID was a turning point for us. So 2020 till 2022, we were a team of 20 people, and today we are a team of 80 people. So we just turned it around. So COVID was actually, if I may say, and I'll bite my tongue, but it was a blessing in disguise, because we were able to mobilize so many more people in work from home. And that was one of the challenges for persons with disabilities, right? That worked really well for us. The clients could not question us with respect to why a person is working from home. So that again worked in our favor. And today we have reached that position where we can tell the clients, we will only work from home. And that model is really working well for us.
Wow, that's a great, great point. Working from home, I definitely understand that that's a blessing. COVID did provide, positive and negatives, obviously, from both standpoints. And it did allow a lot of people to work from home and, give companies that and definitely let them consider working from home,
Yeah.
especially people with disabilities. And Sarathee provides that benefit as well as other companies too. And I just want to know when you set up Sarathee. One moment for the interpreter. The screen was freezing a little bit. So when you set up a Sarathee going forward, what is your day like? Do you work all day, every day? Or just I know starting a company is very tough. I don't know if how many hours you work. It's just what is your day like? Do you
So, okay, now you're going to make me feel guilty.
so what do you do to be successful? What is your work day like?
So, Vaibhav, I still remember when I started out work like a youngster, I used to work a lot. I used to like really make sure I would give 12 to 15 hours at work. And that, in my mind, was the way life should ideally have been. But as I have moved forward, what I've realized is that it is not about the time you give to work, it is about how well you are able to manage and maximize the kind of output from whatever given time you have. So I recently moved from Gurgaon to Dehradun. So now I'm in the hills, and you would have seen a lot of my pictures from the hills in the last 1.5 years. That is because I consciously chose to take it slightly easy. So I went back to hills, and today I'm leading a very happy life with my daughter, with my husband, in the beautiful surroundings of lovely weather, hills, sun, everything. However, coming back to your question, what it takes to be successful and what my day looks like. Um, I choose to work from home as and when I want to. There are days when they are absolutely full, but there are days when I make sure that I don't do anything at all. However, what perhaps has worked very well for me, because as an entrepreneur, and Vaibhav, you are also an entrepreneur, you've started your journey with OMVAI. Now, one thing that I have realized is it is extremely important to pick the right members in your team. If you are able to create a solid team, and if you've been able to invest in them, groom them, and align them with your vision, then I think a large part of your work is almost taken care of there. Then all you need to do is get into larger aspects of your strategy or the vision. Like, I don't think I would have been able to take out this 1.5 hour to speak with you if I was still very, very involved in my operations, in my various aspects of business as such. But I think what I managed to do in the last 1.5 years is create a strong team, create the second in line, and they drive business for me. And that gives me a lot of space to think and also work with a lot of other people, because my personal vision is also not just to confine inclusion to Saarathee. We are talking about driving inclusion as an agenda across corporates, so many more things. And I'm trying to now get into such dialogues with a lot of other people. And that's only possible if you create the right kind of foundation for your place. Yeah.
Right, right. The foundation is so important. And then, when I work on projects, I think I pick the right people, the right team, which is
Correct.
huge. And it's a very important part of our travels and establishing business. But how do you select the right people? How do you know that are going to work? The difference, save your energy, save your time.
I've made a lot of mistakes, Webber. Lot of mistakes. I have hired the wrong kind of people. I have fired the people who did not suit the profile. However, what I've now started evaluating people on is purely on the basis of their attitude, their long-term goals and vision that they have for their personal lives, and how I see synergy with my vision and Saarathee. That's the only way I recognize that these people are fit for my organization or fit to be a part of my life. Also, what I have noticed is that when it comes to skills or when it comes to anything else, these things are very acquired. You can acquire them, you can learn them. But attitude is something that cannot be acquired. So I mostly evaluate people on their attitude.
Right, right. I like that answer about the attitude. Yes, you want to have a happy attitude. It's just really important that you can see that they worked a long time, they fit what your company envisions.
Correct.
So, you have anything other challenges that you've had establishing your business or the industry?
So I think, as I mentioned, the two critical challenges were pertaining to people and business development. However, one of the other critical things, which is quite linked to what I have already said, is changing the perception of the larger society and people. Every time I would say that we hire and work only with persons with disabilities, the perception that exists is that you are an NGO. That took me a longer time to work on. Even today, a lot of people think that Saarathee is an NGO. So it has taken me a huge amount of effort and time to clear that perception out that we are not an NGO. We are a private, limited, for profit organization. Not only did we break even within the first 18 months, we are a profitable, for profit organization, self-sustained. So that is something which I think perhaps that's a problem which is across for everybody. Whenever you say that you want to employ persons with disability, people think it's a CSR agenda, which is wrong. So that's the only thing I had to work on.
Right. Yes, you're right about people with disabilities. People, again, they don't, your company, they look at it as a woman entrepreneur, someone started their own business that can protect yourself as a woman.
Weber, I didn't face any kind of discrimination as far as that is concerned. However, what I would also like to share is, because I had already spent close to 15 years in corporate and social sector, it gave me a very clear understanding of what works, what doesn't work. I didn't face any distinction between that, okay, she's a woman entrepreneur, this is the way I will talk to her. Had it been a man, I would talk differently. That wasn't the case as far as I'm concerned. and this is my personal philosophy and my way of looking at things. If you have strong conviction, if you know what you're talking about, there is no reason why the other person is going to look at you differently. He is going to look at what you bring to the table.
Yes, yes, that is right. Yes, a strong mindset, that you can do it. You can work till it's over. You can do it. You can
Absolutely.
complete the work. So tell me your biggest role model. Biggest role
It's
model.
role model. Actually, in all honesty, it's my father. So my father has seen a lot of ups and downs in his business. And each time he's only come back stronger. And that gives me huge amount of inspiration that there is nothing called failure in life. There are only lessons in life. You just have to learn and move on. So I do consider him as my role model, and he's also my go-to person whenever I do get stuck. So even when I started Saarathee, he was the person who encouraged me that you don't have to fear anything. That can happen. And that is when I started Saarathee. So he, for me, is the perfect role model.
Wow, that's very inspiring about your father giving you, giving you the chance to start your own business and working and being just looking back on what things that you could, um, when you look back on what things you will do different or do to be successful.
What will I do differently to be successful? Is that the question?
Sorry, let me say that again. Looking back, your dad inspired you with his lessons, your story had been an entrepreneur, how you started Synergy. Uh, so I wish, what is one thing you would do differently? What
Oh,
is one thing you would do differently?
one thing that I'll do differently. Actually, nothing at all. Because my entire journey at Saarathee has been a beautiful learning. And I'll share one more thing with you, Vaibhav. When I started Saarathee, Pavitra, you know Pavitra. So both Pavitra and Shalini Khanna, who is the director for National Association for the Blind, they were more like my support system. They were backing me because I had zero knowledge and understanding of what it takes to work with persons with disabilities. So from Bangalore, Pavitra was the person who was always available to me on a call. And here in Delhi, Shalini was always there. So when I started out, there were lots of questions I had. And I thought that here are a set of people who perhaps have gone through that journey. They can give me those ready-made answers. It will just help me to improve the entire thing and perhaps fast track my journey. But I still remember both of them just said one thing: learn it along the way. And I'm happy and grateful at that I did, because if it wasn't my own set of learnings that I would have drawn, I don't think I would have been as invested in it. I don't think I would have made a success out of it, and I don't think I would have been as passionate about it.
Wow, you're so right. It's beautifully said. Wow. So I'm just so inspired by what you're talking about and your experience and what you went through in the past. And what would you mind sharing your top three values? What would your top three values be?
So our couple of the top values that we actually focus on. The first one is, of course, something that I seek my personal inspiration from is everyone is good at something. And I think that defines it for us as well. Because we don't reject people. We always believe everyone is good at something. And I inculcate that value amongst all my people really well. Second thing is breaking barriers. I think each one of us has got huge mental barriers that we face. It is so important to keep your mental barriers down or find opportunities to break them and move forward. And third is the whole concept of collaboration. Now, whether you talk about teamwork, you talk about creating a larger impact, that is only possible if you work along with people. If you try and connect the dots together, then only can you make larger impact. So I am personally also a huge believer in collaboration, in working together and creating a larger impact. So these three are my top values that I always focus on and I encourage my people to focus on.
Wow, those are excellent values. I really the way like you explained those. I really like the way you explained those. That was great. Wow. So I also thought so you work with people with disabilities, right? You meet the person you the first deaf person you met. What was your experience like?
So
Like if you could explain that.
sure. So, and I would like to share this story also. So, the person's name is Gaurav, and he's been working with us for the past 3 years now. And he is one person who cannot stop smiling, and I loved him for it. So, I love people who smile more. So, when he walked into my office, he just could not stop smiling. And I think that was one reason I decided I have to hire him. I had zero knowledge of sign language. Even right now, all I know is I can sign my name. That's it. So Gaurav came with a sign language interpreter and I interviewed him. And as I said, I only hire people for their attitude. And I just hired him and I had no work for him. You'll be amazed, Vaibhav. I had zero work for him. I had to create work for him. So I figured out bit by bit, small by small, I started creating work for him. Now, the way we would talk to each other would be only through text messages. Because if I had to communicate to him, I could never match up my entire communication or conversation in sign language. So we maintained our good morning and thank you. That was it. But beyond that, we were only confined to messages. Then I introduced him to be a part of one of my biggest teams, which is Amazon. Amazon has a team which comprises of people with visual impairment, people who are orthopedically challenged, and it has Gaurav. And right now, each one of them are working from different parts of the country, so they don't even get to see each other. Now, how beautiful it is to see that there is a synergy in how they function and operate. Never have I faced any problem because there are different disabled people working in a common team. And Gaurav should be given credit because he's actually taught sign language to my people who are visually impaired. So my visually impaired people can actually sign language. They can talk in sign language. Yeah.
That's great, great. Yeah, I was definitely thinking about is including and the diversity of that environment and accessibility. It's great that everyone was able to be included. And, yes, it's great. I applaud you and your hard work in making a difference in all these people's lives. I know it's not easy for them to find, a job but your company was there. So I really applaud you for your hard work and your patience.
Thank you.
And definitely, definitely. Wow. And so, do you plan to write a book? What would you give if you plan to write a book? What would you call the book? What would the title be?
I haven't really thought about it, what the title of the book would be, but let me share with you what my larger vision for the next few years looks like. Uh, so, what's happening right now is, Weber, while we are working right now within Saarathee, we have close to about 80 people. Um, we've realized there are lots of learnings that we have experienced in our journey of 4 years. There are so many more companies who have their heart in the right place. They have the intention to actually hire persons with disabilities, but they're extremely challenged because they don't know where to start. They don't know how to operationalize the entire concept of inclusion. So, my intention is, how can I help such organizations? Whether it is through personal consulting, whether it is through my blogs that I can start writing, and I'm working on that, whether it is through seminars, whether it is through conferences, I do want to encourage them to get started, because I think once you start the journey, things start falling in place. You just need few people with the heart on the right place and with the right intention, and they can get started. So my really about my vision, I really want to see each person with disability in India to be to become a contributing member of society. Why should they be deprived of that? And to be able to do that, as Sarathee and as Richa, I would want to play a role there.
That's great. Yeah, I mean that's a perfect. That's wonderful. It's a great mindset. So I mean we have about 5 minutes left until the end. So, what would your advice be to other women entrepreneurs and just in general, people with disability entrepreneurs, just in general, what would your advice be?
I think first and foremost, what is important is to feel that everybody holds the same space in society. I don't think there is any difference between a woman entrepreneur and a man entrepreneur. Everybody is the same. It boils down to what value you bring to the table. As I said a little while ago, also, at the end of the day, you should not be judged because basis your disability, basis your gender, basis the religion, class, caste, nothing. You should be only evaluated on the basis of what you bring to the table. If you're able to add value, if you're able to contribute, I see no reason why you should not be treated at par. And as we move forward, I think that is what each and every one should be focused on. The whole concept of, oh, I'm feeling deprived because I'm a person with disability, oh, I'm not treated at par because I'm a woman, should not even be a matter of substance. It doesn't matter. What matters is that, do you think you have what it takes to contribute? Do you think you have what it takes to add value? That is what is of utmost importance. So I would encourage each person with disability, each person, each woman entrepreneur, to think they are no less, they are no different. And that is, it starts with the belief. If you believe that, you will deliver it. If you believe everybody is differentiating against you, you will always live under the complex. Don't. I have never believed that. I have always thought I'm at par, and I don't even consider myself any less than anyone else. And that's what I inculcate in my people also.
That's such a powerful message, and you're right. It doesn't matter the individual. We're all the same, and it's that mindset. It doesn't matter. I mean, everyone can do what they want, and it's just with the right team, with the right vision, and there will be challenges, but you can get through it, and you can continue on from there. You just arrive where you just, your hard work and with your mindset, and you provide, you inspire. people all over the world. And thank you so much for joining our talk show. Thank you so much for giving your time to this. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.